Honey, what are you thinking?
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the questions ladies want to ask. This is all about the ladies and, of course, the gents. Ladies always have a lot of questions that they'd like to ask, but quite frankly, they never quite get the right person to ask. And that's why I'm here, taking them, answering them, pondering on them, leaving no stones unturned. So I hope you're ready for it. And I've got a couple of them, but maybe I should start with the very first one. It goes something like, what do you do if a girl tells you she loves you? Well, for most guys, that's actually quite flattering. But of course, so if she tells you that she loves you, what goes through a man's mind? I mean, there's a lot that goes through a man's mind when you hear a lady telling you she loves you. And in most cases, guys will not always respond in kind because it depends who's the lady. Have you guys been dating? How long have you been dating? Is he that interested? So you see, there's quite a lot to think about. It's not just about him saying the words back. Actually, quite frankly, most guys would rather find a different way to answer that. Basically, running away from the big LOVE. They'll say, I like you, I cherish you, and all that, but I care about you. But basically, some of them maybe they're just not that into you, or it's too you two get a little bit too fast, so he doesn't really know how to say to that, what to say to that, or how to answer that. So maybe once in a while, it's good to just take your time, get to know the guy. Because speaking from my own experience, I've had the lady say that to me like the first time. Let me say there's a lady who said it first, and it was the first night like we spent together. We had just dated like for a week or something. So you're waking up and the first thing you hear is I love you. You're like, alrighty then. You gotta take a minute, of course, to think about that. But if you're actually interested, like I was interested, of course. I liked her. She was beautiful and all that. So quite frankly, I just said, I love you back. It wasn't that hard. I mean, it just came out of my mouth. Pretty soft, pretty easy. But had it been a different situation, maybe a lady that I was maybe not interested, or we were just hanging out, so it probably wouldn't have come out the same way. I mean, I've had a lot of friends that we've hanged out for years, pretty much did everything we could have done, and we never came to the point of saying that. Using that four-letter word, I love you, never quite came to that, and I'm quite proud of it. I'm quite happy that that never happened, because it could have led to a lot. I don't know. And moving on about all this stuff about guys being from Mars and the ladies being from Venus, maybe that quite frankly brings a lot of confusion, because I don't think that really happened, man. Like, come on. Like, Elon is out there working and trying to get us to Mars, to the red planet, and no man has any recollection of ever having been on the planet, let alone if you like even your ancestors. None of them. There is no written records, no hieroglyphics, no recorded history about us ever being on Mars. So I cancel that. I don't think that ever happened. Probably not. And I've not heard of any lady talking about ever having been on Venus, or her grandma, or her great-great-grandma, or something like that. So quite frankly, I'll just call that out. Probably no way. Yeah, so probably no way. So what do you do if a girl tells you she loves you? Let's look at it this way. Am I actually considering being with her in the long term? Number two, am I actually interested? And man, also depends on the person's age. If you're talking about a young person who's just setting out on dating and everything, he'll probably not be that much if he's not interested in actually starting or kicking up a relationship, he'll probably turn that down. He might even just laugh it off, or make fun of it, or find a gentle way to express the fact that he's really not interested in that. Because I mean that's basically like telling the lady you're gonna be there for in the near future, for good or bad. You're basically letting her know you're around there. You'll be around her. You'll be there for the relationship. So it doesn't come off that easy. You don't just go out and say, "Oh, I love you back," or "I love you too." It takes a while to reciprocate and give her the kind of answer that she's expecting. I mean, if she's asking you that, she's expecting a positive answer. And if you're not ready for that, I mean, there's no rush. Just take your time, think about it, and with that, let's get back to the topic. I think I'm veering a little bit off. In most cases, most guys will just brush it off with that boyish smile and charm that kind of gets some ladies. They seem to like, they just forget about it and maybe hope to do it a little bit later. They might go talk to their girlfriends about it. But at the end of the day, if this guy was actually like that much interested in it, he'd have answered and said, "Yeah, I love you back." Or if he's not sure about it, he'll just say, "I like you," and find a better way to put it. Right? Am I right here? I hope I am. I mean, this is the kind of situation that might actually go to the extent of eliciting a fight or flight kind of response. I mean, I might actually want to take off pretty fast, like, I mean, she just said, "I love you." If I'm not interested, or I never expected that, it's just that I just can't go taking off and run. But probably that's one of the best things I'd have done if I'm not interested. If, for example, the guy is a coward, to put it like that, he's not willing to just let you know that he's not interested. He might say, "I love you back," but basically, at the bottom of his heart, he's just waiting for the moment he heads out. Probably maybe even goes to the extent of deleting your number, blocking you, if he's that crazy, that is. But most guys, not really. Actually, most guys just want to be honest. They don't want to hurt your feelings, if they're not interested. And they might actually just go uttering some incomprehensible version of "I love you," like just anything. They might even act all sleepy and everything, hoping that you'll not go back to the same sentence, to the same situation. He's hoping to brush it off, like nothing just happened. And in most cases, if you see him veering off that situation or trying to brush it off, he might just be giving you the signs. Like he's not, maybe he's just not ready, or he's not interested. So it might be better off you just give him some time, or get a different chance, a different situation, a different scenario, and ask him how he feels about you. And if he's thinking about maybe having you in the future, something like that, seeing you in his future, yeah, it might be better off to just get it off your chest. Let him open up in a nice, mature conversation, rather than just maybe trying to keep pushing it on him. Yeah, that might actually get you somewhere, right? And just to get off the loop, he might just say anything. For example, if he doesn't find you like that attractive, sorry to say that, if he doesn't find you attractive, I mean, guys are different. They look for different stuff from ladies. It's not that every man wants the same stuff from the ladies. Some guys are looking for maybe her face, that's what attracted him to her, or maybe her body, maybe she has an accent, who knows. But you know, guys, most men are visual creatures. Like, we see first, and then we like what we see, and then we think about everything else. So maybe he might have liked what he saw first, but with time, he might find out that excuse me, what he thought was the feelings he had might not be that strong. Maybe something happened. I've had a case of that happening with a few people, including myself. Like, you might actually start dating, but with time, maybe you do something that probably puts him off or turns him off. Like you might go out on a date with a lady, and she happens to be, for example, rude to the waiter, something like that, that's usually terrible. If the guy has any sense of humanity or being humane, that should basically put him off. I know some people who tend to be rude to people like waiters, the driver, maybe the taxi driver. So if that guy feels different about that, I mean, he's not going to want to see you again. And you might go asking yourself, what happened? I thought we had a connection. I thought we had something going on. But you don't realize it's the way you acted. It's not always about something you said. It might just have been your actions, how you respond to people you don't know, people you just met. He might be tuning into that, and he was probably put off by that. And there's probably nothing that can solve the situation, no matter how many times you try to tell him I love you, especially if you guys just started dating, you just kicked it off. Maybe it's even your first date. Maybe you just met in a club or a place like that. That was your first interaction. So you probably didn't get off on the right foot. And if he's that sensitive, or he picks up on stuff like that, or he even might have had the mindset that you guys can actually work out together in the future, he'll probably not allow that feeling to stay around any longer after that, basically. And let's think about something else. There's something like fatal attraction, right? I mentioned it before, where you the guy might get the feeling that you might not really be who you come out to be. You know about BPD, right? I hope you've heard about that. If you haven't, that's why we got Google, but I'll just mention it a little bit. In the movie there's a movie, Fatal Attraction. There's a man, Michael Douglas and Glenn Close. It's all the lady portrayed there. She has an extreme case of BPD, which just to explain it a little bit, it's borderline personality disorder, where the lady is basically suffering from neediness, emotional neediness. Sometimes crazy mood swings, maybe daddy issues, abandonment issues, stuff like that. So in that case, she's willing to do just about anything because she has an emptiness in her. If a guy can pick up on something like that, of course not everybody, most guys might pick up on that, and they might help, they might try to help. But some guys, of course, they might try to take advantage of the situation over a night of bliss or something. But for most guys, if they pick up on that, especially guys who just came up from a similar kind of relationship, they've probably already learned their lesson. They're not going to want to stick around for any of that. But of course, you know that that's a personality disorder, and it only occurs in it's like rare cases, few cases. So yeah, but you don't want to give them the impression that you're needy or like you really needed to work out. I mean, you guys have only just started dating. If you've been doing it for a while, I mean, you should already know each other pretty well to know whether it's gonna last or not, or if he's actually interested. Yeah, so that's why you gotta take in the factor about time, how long you guys have been working out, how long you guys have been dating, hanging out together, stuff like that, right? Yeah, time matters. How long you guys have spent together. And remember, it might be the time might be a vital factor, but let's say you're in different cities, like the lady's in a completely different city, you guys don't get to meet up that much. So even though you guys keep in touch and all that, if you haven't had enough personal interaction, there's no actual way to know or to say, oh, we've been dating for 3 months. I mean, you guys have only met once in that period. So the moment you guys meet up and you throw out the L word, love, you're not quite sure about what he thinks or how he takes it. I mean, you guys haven't hanged out well enough. Might be even a year, but the fact that you guys have never had enough time together, you can't really assume that he's gonna be feeling the same way. There's a lot of that. Yeah, so you gotta also think about that. And in some cases, I've had cases of friends with benefits, and one apparently gets, of course, which happens for both sexes. It might be the guy or the lady. She gets emotional, so she maybe falls in love or thinks or assumes or feels or thinks she's in love with a person. And in some cases it might go south, like crazy south, where you say I love you, and the guy or the lady, depending on who said it, runs for the hills, right? Yeah, but I'm putting it in like that might happen, or in a different situation he might actually be interested, and or she might be interested and stay back. So you never quite know, right? You just go right out and just try it and see how it goes. But given that if it's a situation where you guys are early in the relationship, let's say a week or less, man, I don't think that should be happening at that stage. Most people are not ready for that at that point in time. But most are. But I'm saying most guys specifically, depending on how they feel about you, they might not be ready for that. So take the time to find out how the guy is, what kind of a person he is. And also don't forget, some guys are wondering, like, is this just infatuation or love? Is she serious about what she's talking about? I mean, they might have faced such a situation before with a different lady. So he has to really think about that. And just to be in the clear, be ready. If he's the kind of guy who will ask, like, why do you love me? Because you just told him you love him out of nowhere. I mean, he might actually decide to figure out, like, or find out, what do you mean you love me? Like, what do you love about me? It might not necessarily be what do you mean you love me, but more of a why do you love me? Good. Think about it. You guys have probably been dating for the past week. He'll probably want to know, like, why do you think you love me? Like, what created that? Why do you feel that way? Is it something I did? Is it something I said? Is it, yeah, like, what is it about me that made you think or made you feel that sort of way? And usually the ladies, the mannerisms, the attitude, her attitude, like I mentioned before, about the way you act around people, maybe the things that, of course, will turn off most people, not just a typical man. Most guys, they might be turned off by something. Let's assume you're on the first date. Of course, it's always good to be who you are, but there's typical social skills that everybody has. Like when you guys are out there on your first date, you probably, maybe dinner, lunch, anything, you grab some food. You don't want to go all crazy on everything on the table. Like, that doesn't really happen, but those are some of the things that might put him off. Like, no table manners. You're grabbing everything, you're shoving everything inside your mouth. I mean, come on. You might do that if you're actually trying to turn him off. That might work, hoping he doesn't actually like that. But most guys might not take that very kindly or very nicely, and that might be a good way to put him off, right? Or turn him off. So think about that. Just act normal, be who you are, and if he actually loves it, great. If not, you're with the wrong person. You'll just move on. I mean, most guys are pretty much straight. They'd rather just let you know how they feel. Not always, of course, but they might do it in their own way, in their own crazy, weird way. Because most guys are not that good at communication, right? They don't just want to speak their hearts out, tell you how they feel or what they think. So they might give off signs, body language, like if you, for example, you told him you love him, and he might have smiled back, maybe not said anything back, but just smiled or moved on to something else or brushed it off, like I mentioned. That's a message. Clearly he's not feeling the same way, or he's just not ready for that level in your relationship. So it might be good to just take that time, or just put it out there, like, hey, what do you think? I just said I love you, but I didn't get anything back. I mean, any response is okay, right? It's a way for you to know what he thinks or how he feels about you, especially if you're thinking, or you think you might have met the right person. If he happens not to be that person, you're better off knowing what's happening, so you can probably move on, and he can do the same. Yeah. I mean, I heard a story of a lady who said she dated a man for 2 years. That's 2 whole years. Then one day they're just walking in the streets, holding hands and all that, and the guy just took off. Just from nowhere, the guy just took off, running like crazy down the streets. She couldn't catch up. She was holding her shopping bags. They're walking. The guy just took off. No bags, no nothing. And she never quite saw him again after that. So think about that, right? Like what happened? What was going on? So he might just have had a situation where he didn't know how to express himself or how to break up with her. So he probably in his own weird way, he found the best way to handle it was to take off as fast as he could. And the opportunity apparently this time it just happened to be that she had a whole lot of bags, shopping and everything. So this was his best chance. I mean, she was not going to throw her shopping away or drop them on the streets for him. So he took off and she never got to see him again. That was it right there. So remember, I'm no love doctor, I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm just letting you know what the way that most guys think, or what I would do, or what I'd be thinking if a lady happened to say she loves me. But personally, if we've been doing it for a while, if we've been going through that, I don't have a problem saying it back if I really actually feel the same way. If I'm not feeling the same way, or I'm not that interested, I'll probably let her know, although it doesn't always work out like that, right? Think about it. If you guys met like in a club under the influence of alcohol or something like that, chances are whatever decisions you both decide to make might not actually mean much when you guys wake up and there's a hangover and everything. I mean you're back to your senses. So whatever he might have said before, or whatever he might have, the way he might have acted towards you might not mean much in the morning. Only hopefully he doesn't change, or he's the same person you met when he was drunk. Same thing with a lady. If it happens that he thought, or he just needed somebody when he was drunk, probably in the next morning he might not be feeling the same way that he felt before, and anything close to saying that I love you might not always resonate too well. I mean, anything even close to I'd love to see you again, if he happens to not be interested in any of that, chances are that was it. He just needed the night, a good night, a nice night with you, and after that he's really just not genuinely interested. And hopefully he doesn't go around lying to you about it and then slowly cutting the ties. If he has possibly any drop of manhood in him, he'll probably just cancel everything and just let you know that he was not interested and that it was all a grave mistake or something like that, or that he's probably maybe in a different relationship with somebody else. Because personally, if I'm in a relationship with another person, actually a serious relationship with somebody else, I probably am not going to say it back. I'm not going to say I love you, because it's going to start a whole list of problems and scenarios that I just can't afford to even think about it. So I'll probably just let you know, I'm sorry, I'm involved with somebody else, and I really can't see this going on any longer. And for most guys, if the lady is willing to go ahead with whatever they have, he doesn't have a problem with that. But if it happens that she even gives him the impression that she might try and interfere with his the serious relationship he has, or he's currently having, or he's been having, he'll definitely not be interested in going ahead with that. So chances are just hear him out. If he's been in a relationship, or if he's in a relationship, you just move on, right? I mean, your prince is out there waiting. The right guy is still out there waiting, and it's definitely probably not this guy. No matter how you feel about it, no matter how much you feel like he's the right person for you, if he doesn't feel the same way, it doesn't matter how you feel. And even though you put as much effort into convincing him, that's not really going to work out at the end. It just doesn't work like that. If he's in a relationship with somebody else, forget about it. Hopefully he's that kind of a person who's loyal enough to stick to whoever he's been dating, or whoever he's been having a relationship with, right? Yeah. And it also depends on like your definition of love. Just saying you love somebody, I mean, there's a lot that goes into saying you love somebody. It means sticking with them through the good and the bad, through sickness and health, through poverty and wealth and all that. So some people take it pretty, they take it with a lot of seriousness when you just say I love you. Like, they're like, if for example you've not been dating for long enough, it'll be like, do you know what you're talking about? Like, are you ready to be here through everything? Because of course life is not perfect, there are ups and downs. So he's wondering whether you're actually taking it with the amount of seriousness that it deserves, because not everybody sticks around through the thick and thin. So if he's actually serious, or he takes himself serious enough, he's willing to make sure that you're the right person for it, and that you'll be there for him, and you'll be there for the relationship. That means he knows before he commits, he'll actually want to be sure that you're the right person for it, right? And if you're not, he's not willing to do that. He's definitely not. Also, sometimes guys just know something that you don't know, something about him. So if he's not willing to talk about something personal about him, about himself, maybe his family, maybe his job, or something like that, he'll probably just wanna end everything. You guys have you mentioned you love him, you haven't been dating long enough. So he's like, if you only knew my situation, you probably wouldn't be that interested. Like it probably might change your mind. You might change your mind if you hear. Assuming some guys have been, he might have an illness, although that's a little bit far-fetched. But if he's thinking about that, he'll be like, if she only knew what kind of situation I'm going through right now, she probably wouldn't be that interested. So, and he might not be willing to let a fairly new person, a stranger, know everything about his life. So if you come out and blurt out those words that early, chances are you might just end up messing it up, if he's the kind of person who's going through something and he's not willing to go airing he's what he's going through in life. So he might just turn it off and decide like, no, I'm not ready for this. I don't think she's ready for this, because she doesn't know something that I know. That's usually a big deal for most people, and specifically for most guys. Next point, ladies, if he means it, if you say I love you and he feels the same way, chances are he'll say it back. If he actually means it, he'll say it back. If not, he won't say it back. He might be dating someone else. He might be, probably you guys just met. He won't be in the city for that long. Maybe he's not even from within the same environment, and he knows he's only moving around, traveling, having fun probably. So you telling him you love him, and probably it's the first time you've met, second time, third time, fourth time maybe, and he knows he's not sticking around. He probably has something else going on somewhere else, a business, a job, and you just happen to cross paths. I'm sorry to say, but probably not gonna happen. It might not happen unless you guys are willing to put in the time, the effort, and it must have had quite an impact on him for him to actually think about changing his part of his life to factor you into it. Like, for example, if he's from a different city, you have to probably be okay with long distance relationship. And it doesn't always work out for most people. And sometimes if you guys keep going and it's actually bearing fruits, it's fruitful, both of you are happy with it, sometimes it might involve a lot of traveling back and forth. You might even have to move, or he might have to move. One of you probably might have to move, just to make sure you guys are spending enough time together. So there's a lot of commitment that comes with it, and if either of you are not willing to commit to that, it's probably not gonna happen. It takes a lot of work, right? Remember, he might say he loves you, or he might love you, but he might not be in love with you. Those are two completely different phrases, and they carry a lot of weight. Completely different. Being in love with you is completely different from him loving you. I mean, if he loves you, he might say the first day, the second day, maybe after a couple of years. That just means he feels that way. He has that affection for you. He cares about you. But being in love means he's head over heels. He's hot for you. He wants to be around you all the time. But he's basically, if possible, humanly possible, he'd be having you all the time. He'd have you around him. He'd want to be with you all the time, spend time, take you places, maybe hang out and all that. So being in love and loving somebody are two completely different words and situations. I mean, most cases, guys will say they're in love. In most cases, it usually happens during the first few months, maybe years. Although people who are in love, it tends to be something long-lasting. It continues no matter how long they stay together. I mean, you've seen people in their 90s and 80s and 100 still very much deeply in love with each other. You see him bringing her roses, probably her favorite flowers, chocolate, whatever she likes. You see her doing things that he loves. So these guys are hanging out together, smiling, laughing, spending time at the bar. These are just people who are still in love with each other. They don't just love each other, they are deeply in love with each other. I mean, there is a funny joke that guys tend to throw around pretty much. Not everybody, of course. Most guys tend to throw this joke around. It goes something like this: like, if a lady or a girl says she loves you, pretty much a sure way to be sure that she actually means what she says is just to let her know that, of course, he's probably lying. Number one, tell her that you're unemployed. Basically, you don't have a job and unemployable. That means nobody on the planet wants to hire you. Number three, just add on, just to give it a little bit of flavor, you go ahead and tell her your bank account is running at zero, if not negative, and that's not going to change in the foreseeable future. So if she hears that and she's still willing to go ahead with the relationship, she's probably a keeper. If she wants to stick around. Now, I don't know what to say about that, because most ladies, any reasonable person who hears a man saying that he's not planning on amounting to anything, that's a sure way to make sure she just takes off and doesn't look back for nothing, because there's basically nothing to look back for, right? So that's usually just an easy way that some guys will use that, or they might just find a way to put that in just to be sure that you actually mean what you say. And some other guys might have a slightly different approach. If a guy just says something like, I'd like to get to know you better, right? Chances are he's actually interested, like genuinely interested. He wants to take the time to get to know you better, rather than just like if somebody just says, I'm sorry, I just don't feel the same way, or I don't feel like I don't have the same feelings that you have, or they say I like you, or I like you as a friend, or something of the sort. Completely different. Saying he'd like to get to know you better just means he's interested and he wants to be sure of himself. He wants to get to know you a little bit better. So take the time. If you feel that it's worth it, I mean, it might be worth putting in the time and the effort. And there are times that guys just don't want to say it first. I mean, if this guy has been in a previous situation, previous relationship where he happened to say I love you first, and maybe the lady or the ladies before didn't take it too well, he didn't get the kind of answer or reception that he expected, so he might have grown sensitive and he finds it difficult or a little bit hard for him to be the first one to say it. Doesn't mean he's not interested, it doesn't mean he doesn't love you, it just might be that he's he feels he doesn't know how to say that. He might say it in a different way, specifically moving around those words, but not actually uttering them, just moving around them or showing you with actions. So it's not always that he's not interested. Remember, he's probably been in past relationships. He's had a different experience. So you can't just go right out there and judge him that, hey, he's not interested. I mean, I said it, he didn't say it back. Like if you say it and he doesn't say it back, that probably just means he's not interested. But if he just never said it first, he's never said it, you can't always go out there and think, oh, he's not interested, I need to move on. No, it doesn't work like that. Sometimes talk to him, find out what he's thinking, what's going through his mind. Maybe he probably feels the same way, but there's something standing between him and you, and him letting you know what he thinks or how he feels. And in a different situation, if you say it like right after you guys have had sex, or maybe to put it differently, if you guys have had relations right after that, and you let him know, hey, I love you, chances are he's gonna say it back. I mean, you guys had, he's just come from a completely different place, right? So he might just end up saying it back. It doesn't have to be right after having relations. It might be in the morning, or a couple of hours later, while you guys are still hanging around, you're still together, like in the same vicinity, in the same environment, in the same place, in the same apartment, in the same house. He might just happen to say it back. But if he doesn't, just means maybe he doesn't feel the same way, or you got the messages across, you didn't get the right message, or he gave you the wrong signal, the wrong message. Maybe someone misinterpreted what was going on. He might have been interested in something more physical, maybe not a relationship, and you didn't get that, or he was just playing around. You know, guys tend to do that. Not all guys, some guys tend to do that. They want the goodies, but they'll do anything to get their hands in the cookie jar, right? So they might as well throw in the words, I love you, and whatever it takes. Some of them, they'll just do whatever it takes to just get in there, to get in your panties, right? Yeah, they're gonna do whatever it takes. So just make sure you know what's happening, you know what he thinks. Talk to him if he's interested in letting you know what he thinks or what's going on in his mind. And if you happen to say I love you, and the best answer he can come up with is like a thank you, probably means you're not going to hear from him again. I mean, if you tell me I love you and I just say, oh, thank you, probably we're just friends with benefits. That's usually the limits of everything. If I don't go around saying anything more than that, think about it. And with that, I'ma call it quits, right? That was Questions Ladies Ask podcast. Let me know what you think, ladies, guys, everybody. Let me know what you think. If you have any comments, anything to add, anything you think I should put back there, or anything I didn't mention, let me know. I'll be glad to mention it next time, right? Stay safe. I'll see you next time.